if you're gonna take the class next semester, we will look at non-wine data sets. That's a good one. That was a big if, right? So again, it's wine. I'm gonna tab this variable promo, and it's thankfully it's a much smaller data set than what you had last time, which might have bogged down your computers a little bit. Just a little bit, yeah. Yeah. Especially those box and whiskers. So, yeah. Yeah. So this is weekly data, and in the Nielsen data, and again, this isn't wine specific. This is scan data specific, and not even Nielsen. It's IRI and Nielsen use the same promotional types. In the scan data, we have different types of promotion. Displays, which are end caps, right? I put the what is it? Ooh, a dime. If finding a penny is good luck, what's a dime? 10 times that? What's on the dime? Roosevelt? Yeah. Christmas is coming up. I got one of my kids taken care of. So displays are in-store displays. So end caps, the little things, the bottleneckers you hang from the bottleneck, and that say score, have a score or something. What else? When you buy meat, right? When you go to the meat aisle, they'll have wines there at the meat, in front of the meat. So that's promotional. Anything that's outside of the wine aisle, even the bottleneckers are in the wine aisle. But all those locational things, banners, any of those things are considered displays, in-store displays. And they cost money. None of this stuff is free. So Safeway is going to charge you to hang those bottleneckers, or you have to pay someone to go and do it. Features are mailers. So, a mailer in the newspaper that says Robert Mondavi, Oakville, Napa Valley Cab is only $135 this week. Boom, we're just all running there, getting a case or two. It's like $2 check. We're filling up the minivan with cases of that stuff. So those are features. Feature and display is a combination of the two. I'm engaging in both in-store displays, and I've got some feature going on. The other type of promotional activity is referred to as a temporary price reduction. It's a markdown. It's called TPR here. So it's a markdown usually, well, it's defined as, by Nielsen, a markdown, a price reduction of, I think it's 5 days or fewer. Is that right? Does that make sense? 5 days or fewer. It's a temporary price reduction. So it's not a permanent price reduction. What's that?
No.
What's the difference between a temporary price reduction and a feature, such as on sale, 10% off this week?
Yeah, temporary price reduction. Your voice is contagious.
So,
a temporary price reduction wouldn't have any kind of a feature on it. So it's literally just that, a temporary price reduction.
Just suddenly, no banners, no nothing, but just the prices.
Correct. They'll
Okay.
charge you for the banner, and that would be a display or something like that. So it's and then so those are the main 4 types of 3 types, but feature and display. The main types of promotional activities.
What is non-promo?
Means not promoted. And promo. There you go. Hey, this is back almost to the end of the semester. We're moving. Yeah, we're moving.
So they would charge you for a temporary price reduction. They would charge you just to go in and like just to change that little rectangle
Heck yeah.
cost in the store.
That's, you know, I'm there to work for Safeway, and if Mandavi tells me to mark down that line, that's a resource, I gotta go walk, you know, I gotta walk over there, I could be playing on my phone in the break room or something, ignoring the 15 people line, you know, checkout lines. Yeah, no, that's a resource. They're gonna charge you for, all these things have to be paid for, so. Sometimes, well, yeah, they're always paid for. And then total is just, the combination of both promoted and non-promoted. So that's the promo dummy. It's weekly data. We've got SKUs, we've got cases, we've got all that stuff. All right. So what we want to do is but that's fine. We can draw. Back to the chop whiteboard. So if you open up a decent, that should be a straight line, but if you open up a decent marketing book, you'll see the effects of promotion as being something like that. So this is without promotion, and this is with promotion. So that for any given price, you've got Q, let's call that without, Q with, and that's called your promotional lift. That's what we're trying to measure. That's what firms are trying to measure. You open up a textbook, a marketing textbook, probably not all marketing textbooks, but this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to measure the effects of promotion on demand. So that's what we're going to try to do. Well, we're going to at least start here. So to do that, let's just look at promoted and non-promoted volume, right? So we should be able to look at promoted volume, non-promoted volume, promoted volume, and we should be able to see some difference in the two. And to do that, there's an or right there. So table month, promo, if promo equals promo, if it's either promoted or promo is equal to not promoted. So I'm just making up the command. I didn't.
You're right. I see what I did wrong. I kept typing the word or instead of using the line. It's okay. I found another way around it.
Okay.
It took more work. But
I'm pretty clear I was mentioned that
no,
command.
you told me that before I became the class meeting. Use a straight line.
But you just.
Don't worry. I'll ask you again next week. I'm like, how would the or come in?
Exactly. Yeah. On the fine.
It's fun.
On the extra credit. Okay. So what do we got? We got average monthly sales. Get that thing out of the way. And we can see that promoted is generally more than non-promoted, right? We go December, it's pretty good size. 1,800 cases per week versus 3,500 cases. November, again, pretty good size. and we see clearly a difference in promoted and non-promoted volume throughout the year. Except for January. January's strange. Why is January strange?
It's right after the holidays.
Yeah, so this is one of those data processes. Remember that Nielsen collects data at the week ending data, so some of the January sales are probably going to carry over, the Christmas sales are going to carry over into January, and that's probably what we're seeing. We're just seeing Christmas sales attributed to January when they probably were actually December sales. Just depending on, Saturday night is the end of the week for Nielsen. So it's not that big of a deal. Just again, one of those strange things. We know that January is usually a good month, but Christmas is at the end of December, and New Year's is right at the beginning of January. So a lot of the times it's not going to carry into the week-ending period. So, and that's all we're seeing. We're just seeing the data just not capturing it because of the way the data is collected. But outside of that, we're seeing pretty clear pictures of promoted sales clearly being greater than non-promoted sales. So that's a good thing.
And that data set right there, that's saying that the display, feature display, and feature and TPR data is held within that promo.
Exactly. So these are all the promotional activities.
Okay, so all the data of that data set are in these 2 columns.
That includes all the promotional activities, yeah. We could have done them individually, but we're just going to aggregate them for now. But if you're Mondavi or whoever, you probably want to know which one of my promotional activities is most effective. It makes sense that feature and display probably is the most effective. But between feature and display, which is more effective? And those finer breakdowns, I think are things we'll do in the next class, but not in this class. So we're just looking kind of overall what's going on here. And even within, my God, I mean, we talked about some of the features. I'm sorry, some of the displays. You know, of the displays, which one is most effective? Is putting your wine by the meat aisle so that when I go to buy a steak, there's a nice red wine to go with my steak. Boom, I grab that. I don't have to walk to the wine aisle. Is that more effective than maybe having a shelf talker at the wine aisle saying this goes well with steak or something like that? Right? Which one of these combinations of things? Yeah.
How did you measure this?
How do they measure it?
Yeah, did they use like the same wine and promote it and not promote it, or?
No. This is national. Yeah, so some stores will have promoted, some stores wouldn't have. So, yeah, and this is recorded at the checkout.
Okay.
So they'll know whether it was promoted and non-promoted and what kind of promotion. So this is all stuff that's.
Would there be a case where they're running 2 at a time?
Like feature and display? Yeah. Yeah. Or
So
2.
how do they credit it to the correct type of category?
That's gonna be one of the problems we're gonna solve.
Okay.
So, yeah, when you have a feature and display, how do you figure out which is more effective? Yeah. We're gonna kind of approach that, but we'll see. We can look individually though at a feature, when something's on feature, and we can look individually at something when it's on display and see which one's more effective, and then we can see if having them both, feature and display, is even more effective than them individually. There's some sort of synergistic effect. So, and you know, one of the biggest part of marketing is the promotional dollar. So trade promotion is huge. I had my first Skype meeting the other day. Haven't had a Skype meeting. I've had plenty of go-to meetings, but Skype, when you got this thing looking at your face. It's a little different. All right, where am I? Let's look at a graph. Oops. Now the nice thing about this, before we move on, is I can copy and paste this table into Excel pretty easily, right? But let me do this. Just create a couple of dummies so that I can do it in Stata as opposed to Excel. And here's a nice visual. Red is promoted, blue is not promoted, and what we want to measure is that lift, that distance. And again, in all honesty, if we just take that table, copy it as a table, what's the command to copy the table? Copy table. Which is different than copy, right? Copy table, throw it into Excel, and we can generate the differences and do all kinds of stuff. Probably a lot easier than it would take us to do it in Stata. But two things we want to do. One is promotion effective. What's our ROI? But two, when is promotion most effective? Right? When do I allocate, where do I allocate those promotional dollars? When do I get the biggest bang for my buck, for my promotional dollar? So just visually, where would you say promotion has its biggest effect? This holidays again, yeah. This holidays. So, yeah. Which is almost counterintuitive because during the holidays, what's going on? Everybody's promoting. But yet, at least for this wine, I think this is Robert
It's surprising.
It is, it's the, yeah, I think it's not the it's not the Oakville, I think it's private select.
That was all.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, so it just, it is, to me it was surprising that you saw the biggest effect during the holidays.
Why?
That's right, I would think that if,
Then more people are buying wine during the
but more people are buying wine, but everybody's promoting also. So it just seems like they would all be kind of canceling each other out. Wouldn't that make sense?
No, I think people are just gonna buy more of the same stuff they're buying during the holidays.
Yeah. But if that's,
There's also more deals in general during the holidays. I mean, if you just look at even just in California, when it's Memorial Day,
Yeah.
those programs are running, you see it at Save It All the time, it's like $5, $6, save $50.
Yeah, yeah.
Everyone runs that day at the same time, so I think there's just more volume places in loyalty, or not loyalty, but promoting, yeah. So there's a wider range of so people are gonna buy what they're typically buying, and, you know, it's a safe bet that could be promoted somewhere else.
We're gonna come back to this stuff. I mean, this is one of the questions we're gonna try to investigate a little bit deeper, because
We can look at this, but we can't, so it looks successful, but we'd have to compare it to another one, because it's like, is this several brands, or is this only one brand?
this is one SKU.
Okay, so this is one product, we have to look at it compared to another product that it competes with, and if November's difference is smaller, then we could say, well, this guy's running a good promotion, that guy's promotion stinks, and his is so huge because the other guy stinks, he's not catching the audience, or there could be other factors, that's an explanation. If all of them were identical to this, then we would just think it was weird, but there must be differences among them. So some will have successful promotions, and others won't have successful promotions.
Are these all non-price affecting promotions? Or?
These are just promoted sales. This is sales. So you guys are both kind of approaching to where we're gonna get on the next problem set. But this is, this is kind of the start, is to kind of just compare promoted and non-promoted volume. So we can do that, and we can, like I said, kind of the easiest thing to do is to just copy and paste that table. Copy table. Slap it into Excel. And now we can do whatever it is we want to do. Right? And promotional lift is just defined as the difference between non-promoted, between promoted and non-promoted. Oops. Yeah. So this is going to be lift. It'll be promoted minus non-promoted. And again, that one's strange because of the month itself. But this is our promotional lift. We're getting an additional 1,700 cases on promotion. And remember, off promotion, we're only selling 1,800, so we're almost doubling. Promotion is almost doubling, you can see that. Promotion is almost doubling our sales. So this is that. We can do what we did before. One of the first things we did was kind of benchmark. So we can look at percentage lift and just take this and divide it by non-promoted, and again we'll get that. And again, percentages are always better, but my God, look at the percentages. A 92% lift in December, 148% in November. That's awesome. What's that?
So just remind me, for the percent lift, we divided the lift by what?
By the non-promoted.
So lift by non-promoted.
So promoted minus non-promoted divided by non-promoted. Those are impressive, at least for this line. Remember, this is a single, it's not one SKU, it's a collection of SKUs. It's a family of SKUs. Chardonnay, Napa, so on. Very
How does it compare to others?
I don't know. Well, I mean, yeah, we'll have to look at that. But what we want to do, well, the nice thing about the percentage is that you can think of that almost as an ROI. You're getting, a pretty. It's not a. We don't have cost in here, so we don't know how much these promotions cost. That's the other thing we don't have. But we can, depending on the cost, these still look pretty impressive. And I've seen even bigger ones. So we'll have to look at this a little bit further. Let's see what else. Well, what else? What are we missing? What might be causing these promotional lifts to be so big? These seem awfully big. just promoted versus non-promoted. But we've accounted for seasonality with the months, right? We're looking at it over the year, the course of the year. So we're talking about promotion, shelf talkers, the end caps, the flyers,
Perhaps,
what are we ignoring?
well, we're thinking about how much it increases it from the non-promotion, but how does this particular, this group here, the non-promotion, how does it compare to others' non-promotion? So like, maybe when it's not advertising, it's not as selling as well as others, so it has to promote in order just to sell nearly as well as others who don't even promote.
Yeah, maybe. We're missing something even more fundamental.
I have a question. If you didn't promote, would it affect the promotion? Like, if you didn't promote at all, so like, would January be higher or would it be lower?
Non-promotion's number is the non-promotion.
No, I understand that, but there's still some promotion.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So if you did absolutely no promotion. would
And
it-
that's another issue. I mean, it's a separate issue, but you're right in that if you promote too much, then what do I do? Let's say I buy this wine all the time, but I also know it's always promoted. So what do?
You wait.
I wait for promotion, exactly. I wait for it to promote. And then, like what you're saying, maybe promoted sales fall. And not because people don't buy it anymore, but people know that it's gonna be promoted and, by Friday it'll be promoted, so I'm just gonna buy it then.
The consumers forget because they've lost the psychological cue to go and buy.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, it's one of those things where if you expect something too often, or if you get something too often, then you rely on it and expect it. But we're missing something even more fundamental.
Are you just talking about price points or store placement or like,
Well, this is one SKU. And promotion includes store placement and
and like the
features.
placement on the shelves?
Yeah, shelf talkers, anything that,
Not just shelf toppers, but just where it's at.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
shelves.
the position, yeah, eye level versus, down low or next to the jug wine.
And you said this is national data?
I think so. It's weekly national data.
Those are case quantities, right?
Cases, yeah.
What about price?
What about price?
It's not there. That's fundamental for this class.
Exactly, that's fundamental to
Measure
this
price
class.
and quantity.
Yeah, so yeah, whenever I say something's fundamental, it's always gonna be price.
Hey, it only took us about 20 minutes this time?
Yeah, well, what do you do when you promote something? What do you do?
Change the price possibly.
Change it in what direction usually?
Usually down.
So we need to account for price. That is, this picture is wrong. This picture assumes that I'm gonna promote at the same price I'm gonna not promote. So the problem is that remember I have to pay for these promotions. I gotta pay for these shelf talkers, I gotta pay for it to be eye level, I gotta pay for it to be by the meat aisle. I gotta pay for all this stuff. So to make sure I get my money's worth out of promotion, what am I gonna do? Lower price. I wanna make sure I lower price. So we're confounding really two things, price and promotion.
But couldn't a promotion be, where you don't change the price, couldn't a promotion also be paying for a magazine article that just brags on the product without changing the price? And you hope that the readership of that magazine will become aware of your product and go buy.
Absolutely, we just don't have that data, so we don't have that kind of magazine advertising. So this is stuff that's recorded at the checkout.
Okay.
Sometimes though, the ones that are, like wines that are featured next to the meats and stuff, they're not always different price. So
Yeah.
the prices have always been lowered, they've just been relocated.
Yeah.
Robin's right, I was just at all of this last night, that's the exact case, they're
Well,
the same price.
we can see.
Location.
I mean, we can see. All we have to do is check. So, just like we generated this table, we can generate another table. And that other table is, same table, same commands, same values, except I just added price in there. So the quantities are all the same, but it's a testable hypothesis. When we promote, do we lower price? When they promote, do they lower price?
Yes.
It looks, let's go to the bottom so I can see it. December, we're looking at almost, more than $1 difference.
And that's because those prices, so this is like averaging or aggregating of, like I said, several methods.
Several of the promotional activities, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So-
Yeah, so there would be, because it's often that you change the price, but not always. Is there a way that in this will isolate each and every promotion?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
but all of these set promotions that we're setting are cases where they do change prices.
We're, in this particular data set, and again, I didn't choose this data set for any other reason other than I wanted a high volume wine.
Yeah.
That was represented nationally. So for this particular one, we can break this down by promotional type and see if it's the case that every kind of promotion also has a price reduction.
Great.
We can do that.
Mhm.
For now, though, we're just saying, if we just compare promoted and non-promoted volume, clearly we got a price difference between average promoted price and average non-promoted price of $1 on about a $10 wine, right? A $9, $10 wine. So that's a pretty decent size promotion.
Because in like startup business or like small areas, a lot of times you do promotions or like a small business, you don't always want to cut the price because you're already kind of pricing it at the point where you need to make that revenue because it's so small, you have a lot of.
Yeah, this is a well-established.
But these are for all for huge companies.
I think this is Mondavi Private Select.
Yeah, very good.
More than $1 here, $8.43, $9.69. More than $1 here, more than $1, more than $1, more than $1, more than $1, more than almost exactly more than $1. Yeah, we're seeing about $1 difference in price between promoted and non-promoted volume. And that's probably true in January also, even though we see, yeah. Good look here, buddy. 965 versus 873, again, more than $1. No, less than $1. A little bit less than $1. And that's the problem. So if we're doing just this kind of simple analysis, right? We're ignoring the fact that, and we can graph these and look at the differences and the percentage differences and all that stuff. We're ignoring the fact that there's price differences. So we're really comparing apples and oranges. Because a big chunk of that boost in sales could be due solely to the fact that I lowered price and the promotion had absolutely no effect. So it's misleading. The problem is, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, this is pretty much how most firms evaluate their promotion. They'll just look at these simple tables and calculate these promotional rates. It's obviously wrong. They just don't know what to do. They don't know any better. They don't know any better methodology. They haven't had business intelligence at Sonoma State University in the last year and a half or so. However long it is. Unfortunately for them. What should we do? Okay. I heard a long. What should we do? What has been the solution to all of our problems? Regression,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
And you didn't say that with enthusiasm, by the way. Man, more regression. Well, regression allows us to do what? Hold things constant. it allows us to make that ceteris paribus statement that, you know, we can evaluate the effects of promotion holding price constant. We can't do that here. We already know, or we already saw it from the table, that price isn't constant. Price is bouncing around month to month, and promoted and non-promoted, it's bouncing all over the place. So we need a better method. And the first step towards a better method is going to be regression analysis. Which is why most firms don't do that. Because they're stuck using Excel. Excel does regression analysis. All right, so we need to run a regression. You knew that was coming. Before we run a regression, well, let's run a simple regression first. This is a regression, and I'll show it to you in a second, we got dummy values per month, and then we have interactions between month and promotion. So the values in this regression output should match perfectly the values in that table that we showed. If you notice, 1786, January, non-promoted, same value here. Promoted, it was a difference of 19 cases in January, which is our dummy for promoted. And if we go back to here, we should get that same difference of 19 cases in January. We haven't talked about factor variables, have we? Yeah, what is a factor variable? Take a look at it. That's a factor variable. It is, so we've got cases, beta 0 plus beta 1, not beta 1, we don't have pricing yet. But we would have essentially a bunch of dummies per month. Let's call those bunch of dummies per month. A dummy for promotion. Should have put that beta 2. I'll put that here, beta 2 promotion. And then, what do I want to call? Let's call it gamma. I would be month times an interaction of month times promotion. But we have to do that for every month, right? So the I-dot was nice because remember when we introduced I-dot, we started out saying we have to construct a dummy for every month. But I-dot takes care of it for us. Well, now what we want is a dummy for an interaction for every month and promotion. Because we want to interact month and promotion. And to do that, we can use this shorthand factor variable. So notice I dot month is in there, but we've got those 2 pound signs. And then we have I dot promotion, depromotion. And what that does is create dummies and interactions of all the variables. Which is a lot quicker than having to do it by hand.
So is that telling you the month in the promo is that interaction and the above is the one without promotion?
Yeah, it does
that an
everything. So
interaction?
here's the monthly dummies by themselves. Here is the promotion dummy by itself. And then all these are the interactions. Right? February promoted, March promoted, blah, 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 blah. And
So
it's got,
example,
what's that?
so example, January, no promotion equals the constraint on the bottom, and
The
that
constant.
does is the 17, the constant.
The constant.
The 1700. And then with the promotion, it's, the 1700 on the bottom. And then-
It's the negative 19, but remember January was weird because it has the carryover from.
Yeah, and that gives you the result. So, but what is the 600?
So what's,
The-
which
the-
600?
Oh, that's February, see.
So
It's
which-
February.
This 600?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the difference in sales between, in February promotion, so that's.
Right.
Yeah.
okay, I like it.
Okay.
It's a nice shorthand, factor variables are a nice shorthand. And what we're able to do is see if these are the nice ones, because these are the promotional lists by month, right? So February was 632, March is 8 something. Let's go back to the Excel. Six twelve. 612 or 632? Did I just misread it?
632.
That's all relative to the content, right?
That's relative to the constant, that's right. So we'd have to add that in there. But what this allows us to do is essentially get these T-stats, to test for statistical significance. So was the promotion in February statistically significant?
Yes.
And it looks like all of them are, right? Just as the dummies, the month dummies, answer the question, were December sales, which were 74 cases more than January, is this difference statistically significant? No. Were November sales, which are 400 cases fewer than January, is that 400 statistically significant? Yes. And so on and so on and so on. So what regression always allows us to do is be more confident in saying whether or not there were a boost actually occurred. Remember this, a difference actually occurs. Oh, this is a difference. We can say December sales were more than January, but that difference isn't statistically significant. It could be due to just an off month or a good month. And all these results will perfectly coincide with that table we did, because it's not including price. What we want to do, however, is include price. And hopefully move towards a better model. Any questions? Any question on the factor variable? It's a shorthand. It makes life, as with most of our shorthands, it makes life a lot easier. Otherwise, we'd have to construct all 11 of these dummies and then interact each one of them with our promotional dummy. And that would be a drag.
Is it always a multiplication?
Yes. So the pound is always multiplication. So if you do a single pound, it'll construct either just the dummies or just the interactions. And we can see, I guess, test that. I just forgot which one it is. But if you do the double pound, it gives you the dummies and the interactions. So let's get rid of one of these pounds. And this gives you the interactions without the dummies. We won't book them.
And what defined what you got by having a single pound? How did you know you were gonna get the interaction versus just the dummy?
Well, I had forgotten, but the single pound only gives you the interactions. So for us, we always want both the dummies and the interactions. It doesn't make any sense to not include them. Bless you. Let's add in price. So we have similar results. They won't be the same, but they'll be similar. We've got the month dummies, the promoted dummy, the interactions of month and promotion, and then we have a price coefficient up there. It's negative, which is good. Price should always be negative. Price coefficient should always be negative. And it's statistically significant. So everything looks right so far. And now remember, we can make the statement that holding, when we analyze the effects of promotion in December, for example, we can say holding price constant. This is the effect of promotion in December relative to January, which we couldn't say before. When you don't have a variable in a regression, you can't hold it constant. So unless we include it in the regression, we're muddling up, we're confounding the effects of price and promotion. Does that make sense? But that's why we introduced regression in the first place, so we can identify individual effects, specifically monthly effects, is how we started. But like on this problem set, we want to analyze the individual effects of brands, the individual effects of region, the individual effects of ratings, and holding the other thing constant. And we can't do that unless we've got all those things in the same regression equation.
So is that 1629, the increased cases, which is also the same thing as the lift?
Yes. In December relative
To January.
to January, exactly, yeah. So it's, yeah, you gotta be careful.
Can you say it one more time?
I'm not sure, but I'll try. She asked specifically about the 1629. Is that the December lift? Yes, as long as you interpret it, finish the sentence. So it's the lift in December relative to January, the lift in January. Relative to the lift in January, exactly. Holding price
So
constant.
relative to promoted January.
Correct. And, again, statistically significant, except for August.
And the other one.
So we're already getting,
May.
The portion above is it's not taking interaction. What is that? Non-promoted.
what do you mean, the months?
Yeah.
So the months are, what is the effect of, for example, December? What's the effect, or how much more or less are sales in December relative to January without promotion?
Without promotion.
Yeah.
But it's taking price into.
Holding price constant. Holding price constant, which we couldn't say before. Right? We couldn't say holding price constant. Yeah.
So what does the 8,000, the constant you mean, 8,755, what is it?
So we know it has something to do with January, which is the omitted category.
Yeah.
But remember, the constant is setting everything equal to 0. So we set all the months equal to 0, so it's January. And then we set all the interactions equal to 0, but those are months also, so these are this is still gonna be January. So we're setting one more thing equal to 0. What'd you say? Price. So this is how much we would sell if price for zero.
That's that outlier.
That's exactly, it's kind of like that outline. So the constant still has the same interpretation, but you have to be careful because it's assuming all the other independent variables are zero.
So that would be how much will we sell in January? When
In
price-
January,
when
without
prices-
promotion, at a zero price. When everything's zero. And everything is basically month and promotion, right? So it doesn't have really that much of a